Guys, welcome to Sunday Night Roundtable. I'm your host Jason, and with me this weekend is a couple of guys that need no introduction, but I guess I'll do it anyway. To my left, your right, we've got Justin Stevens, fresh off a very fun Saturday night fun day draft, where we drafted people we'd like to have at our dinner table. Could be anybody. I'm doing very poorly in this poll. But Justin, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well. The top two from each poll advance. So right now I am tied for second with Sully. So our poll actually doesn't have nearly the votes as yours, and you only have 3.7% of yours. So you're in rough shape. But yeah, that was a fun draft. And honestly, my dog Dexter has not been the same since you drafted him last night for your dinner guest. He's been a little upset. He threw up at like 2:00 in the morning last night, and he's just been moping around all day today. So I think he's a little upset that you sniped him and I couldn't get him.
Yeah, well, if of everyone in the world, your dog is somebody I needed to have on my team.
Yeah, he is a pretty cool dog when he's not humping the other dogs.
Well, and that's unfortunate for my dogs. They weren't expecting that, but is what it is. It's circle of life, I guess. And down below both of us, we got Dave down, Fantasy Genius, or should I call you Dennis? But I'll call you Dave.
Whichever one you want, I'll respond to all of it.
I'm gonna call him Suns Out, Guns Out.
We'll call him the old Graybeard. How about that?
Oh, there you go. There you go.
The whole podcast like this.
It's all insecure now.
Oh man, how you doing tonight?
Hot. That's this. It's very hot in this garage. And I forgot that we put the fan in the baby's room. Dina took it apart. Like it was an older fan that I only ever used out here. And she took it all apart, cleaned it all up, put it in the baby's room. And 2 weeks later, we realized they had a ceiling fan and it wasn't needed in there. But it's still in there. I forgot it in there.
So he's also not wearing any pants.
I thought about it. I did. I'm in shorts, luckily, but only because I'm, in case I have to get up to run and grab a baby or something.
Yeah, I can't really do that around my house. You guys already heard about my dog.
And I want to pop this back up. I opened this video for dog humping. That's Justin's Monday night show, but only select viewers. You got to be in the special gilded chat to get access.
Top tier Patreon.
Exactly right. Before we get anything tonight, we're going to talk about the NFC schedule, over and under for each team. I want to talk about rival, and who better to do that than a less manicured but a better background Justin. So here, take that away, Justin.
For those that aren't already aware, Rival Fantasy is the newest evolution in fantasy sports. Rival's all-in-one fantasy platform has changed the fantasy sports landscape. From fantasy bingo, where you mark off boxes of achievements that your players accomplish on the field, to season-long and best ball leagues, to mock drafts and challenges, and more. They have the perfect user-friendly website and app for you. So send a challenge to your friend or send a challenge to your rival and tell them to put their money where their mouth is. But your first deposit of up to $200 will be matched, plus an additional $25 just for using that link, joinrival.com/titletribe. That's joinrival.com/titletribe.
All right. Thank you, Justin, with the better background. I appreciate that. All right. So a couple comments. We've got Charles Foster is really Chuck Steele.
I actually thought that might be it, but I have a former student that likes to go by a very similar name as Charles Foster too. So I thought maybe it was him, but I remembered the last name. I remembered your name was your last name was Foster Chuck. So I kind of thought, but yeah, I'm here for the dog humping jokes and anything similar.
Well, Chuck Steele sounds like one of those names you'd find in a video on our special Patreon as well.
He also has some old articles still out there on our website. You can go back and check out toiletsandtitles.com.
That's correct. And then Duarte says, "What's up, guys?" And Patriot Sports Radio says, "Happy Sunday, fam." And
Hey,
thank
thanks
you
for
guys
tuning
for
in.
watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for commenting. Yeah, as you mentioned, you can go to toiletstitles.com. You can check out articles, any articles that are up for us. That'll get you linked up to our Twitter. It'll get you linked up to our Patreon. It'll get you linked up to our Gilded Chat, which you can join at toiletstitles@gmail.com. I'll have a little video for that later. We'll probably bring the guy that doesn't blink and let him tell you all about our Patreon and our Gilded here in a little bit. But before we get to that, I want to talk about the NFL news this week. It is dead season for NFL news, so there's not a lot to talk about here. I do want to mention that David Johnson retired. Guys, got any feelings about David Johnson one way or the other? He win you any championships? Hurt you in any leagues? What's the Justin?
Is this the running back from back in the day?
Yes, absolutely.
Like,
Did you know he was still active?
No clue. No idea.
Won me a championship for sure a couple of years ago. So had to salute David Johnson, the Cardinals running back. Thank you very much. Let's see. A couple of Chiefs offensive tackles were arrested Thursday and charged with marijuana possession. They've been since released on bond. It's adding to the offseason. The Chiefs definitely didn't want coming off back-to-back titles, going for a three-peat, having Rice do his thing and Harrison Butker be a distraction, and now a couple of guys get arrested. It's just kind of a pattern for Super Bowl winners maybe not being focused on football, and just a couple things back to back causing issues for them. Justin, what do you think? Look, we can all talk about what we think about marijuana usage, especially this day and age, but still probably illegal wherever obviously it's illegal where they got arrested from. The NFL still frowns on it. So what are you thinking, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with it if your place of employment doesn't have a problem with it, if your state doesn't have a problem with it. But if it's against the law, then it's against the law and you shouldn't do it. And if it's against your company's rules, then it's against your company's rules and you shouldn't do it. And I also understand that some people do it for medicinal purposes. I'm going to assume that athletic NFL athletes aren't in that situation. But even if they are, then, hate to say it, but if you got to do it, then I guess maybe you have to find a different career. But, ultimately, it's up to them to make that decision. And, this one doesn't frown to me. It doesn't frown on the Chiefs organization nearly as badly as the other offseason stuff we've had. But it's still against the rules, and they're still going to be punished, and it's still going to pile on to the Chiefs in a negative light because a lot of people still do view it like they did back in the 1960s.
David?
I don't know. I think they loved it in the 1960s. But yeah,
half of them did.
I don't care either way. The Chiefs.
The government did not.
Until something happens with Patrick Mahomes, I'm still saying the Chiefs are the Chiefs. No matter what happens, he just rolls with the punches. So I'm not worried as far as the organization, and it doesn't bother me if that's what they want to do. If they want to be stupid, I don't mind people who smoke. I smoked, in my day. I don't anymore because I'm old. But I wasn't in the NFL either. And if they tell me if I was in the NFL and they were paying me as much as they pay those guys and they told me not to do it, I wouldn't be doing it. So,
yeah.
It seems pretty easy to avoid if you're making, millions.
Yeah. Yeah. I would not smoke forever if I was making millions and being told don't smoke weed. Fine. I won't even look at it.
Yeah.
My job tells me I'm not allowed, and guess what? I don't make anywhere near what these guys make, and I seem to be able to avoid it pretty easily.
Right.
But, all right, and the last bit of news, and I know it's a little old by now, but we hadn't had a chance to discuss it. Jared Goff's contract extension for a year, $212 million. One of the reasons he's out there talking about it is that he got a no trade clause, which, I think that's a perfect situation for Jared Goff, and I don't know that there's a huge market for Jared Goff outside of Detroit. So the no trade clause was kind of like a no-brainer on each side, don't you think, David?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because $50 million per year for Jared Goff just seems absolutely insane. But that's where the quarterback market is, and he's good for him. He's played himself into it. I can't imagine another situation where that guy walks in and ends up making as much as he makes. And then I go back and look at some of the other quarterback signings this offseason, and I'm like, man, Baker Mayfield, while hasn't played to the level of Jared Goff for sure, seems like a steal now for Tampa compared to what some of these other teams are going to have to pay for their quarterbacks. Like, think about if Jared Goff signed for $200 million for 4 years, what is Tua going to get or ask for? And is Miami really? Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's not a no fired clause. They can still cut him. They just can't trade him.
I don't know. So oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think he gets a little bit underrated. He wasn't bad with the Rams. He did the same thing with the Rams. He took them to a Super Bowl. They didn't win, but you build a team around a quarterback, even if it is just a so-so quarterback. He does okay, and he's able to step in there and do that on multiple teams now and multiple systems. So I think he gets a little bit underrated.
Yeah.
So I'm glad for the guy. I was waiting for the contract. It sucks for Hendon Hooker because I was also looking forward to seeing what he could do. But
yep, and that was exactly what I was going to say. That was the only thing about it that's negative to me is like, and I agree. I also think that Goff is a so-so quarterback, and yeah, he might be able to get you there occasionally. I mean, he's just not like if he were a notch or two better, he would probably win multiple Super Bowls. Like it's kind of like what we saw from Eli Manning pretty much his entire career, and then all of a sudden, you never know. You get there, you never know. You might get lucky, and somebody might catch football on their helmet and get you there. So get you over the top. But I like Hendon Hooker a lot. I think he's actually a more talented quarterback than Jared Goff, so that kind of sucks. But he hasn't really had his opportunity, and now hopefully he'll be able to find a spot somewhere else. But injury really hurt him though.
Yeah, it definitely pushed him down the board, and then he did land in a spot where you think he'd have a shot, and then Jared Goff exceeded expectations. And I always say Tom Brady, if he played for the Browns, the only reason you'd know him is he'd be calling games for the Big Ten on Saturdays because he'd never have the opportunity to play. And I bet you there's a lot of those kinds of, maybe not 7 Super Bowl winning kind of guys, but like I bet you there's a lot of guys given the opportunity in the right situation, they do pretty well. Hendon Hooker, I think, for Detroit would do pretty well if he was there. I just, not going to get the opportunity. And then you worry about if he is leaving here and having not played, who's going to give him a chance that's any good? He'll end up on a team that's desperate for a quarterback, and those teams usually aren't good enough to take a guy like Hendon Hooker and make him look good. So, R.I.P. Hendon Hooker, we hardly knew you. All right, so before we move in, we're going to go ahead and talk about the win-loss totals, what we think is going to happen in the 2024 season, maybe discuss the schedule a little bit for the NFC. But before we do that, I'm going to kick it over to Wicked, and he's going to tell you all about our Gilded. And here he goes.
Looking for a place to connect with fellow fantasy football fanatics? Well, look no further than our Gilded server. Join the Title Tribe where you can chat, strategize, and debate about all things football. Whether you're swapping lineup advice, discussing the latest trades, or fearlessly defending your favorite player, our Gilded server is the perfect spot to hang out with like-minded fans. Our Gilded server is free to join, and the link can be found in the video description or on our website at toiletstotitles.com. We look forward to seeing you in the tribe.
Yeah, so go ahead.
I thought I hated those videos because of all that Dallas Cowboy crap, but it really is just creepy. He didn't blink once. I watched it. Not once.
No, he doesn't blink in any of those videos, and that's okay. But here's the thing. He gets to do that, so I don't have to talk about it and stutter all over myself. What I will mention is, and what he doesn't say is, you can reach out to Justin and Coach at toiletstitles@gmail.com if you want to get added. That's probably your quickest and easiest way. He doesn't mention it in the video. So if you do want to be on the Gilded, in the Gilded Chat, which is kind of like Discord, but better. toiletstitles@gmail.com. And then my son says he's going to sign up, but Bud, we talk about football there, and you don't like football. You just like watching me on these videos. So sign up if you'd like. And if you want to get into fantasy, we'll walk you through it. How about that? We'll get somebody good to do it, not me. Maybe Justin.
There you go.
All right. All right. We're going to get into this NFC. And the way I've got these ordered is by win-loss projections. I'm going most to least. And you guys can agree or disagree with if you think they should have the most wins. But I just picked basically from Vegas odds. So right now, Vegas odds have the 49ers with the most wins at 11.5. So schedule complaints. They've got the worst rest differential for the second year in a row. That means they're playing against teams that have bye weeks, and they don't get extra rest, like 10 days often in their schedule. The other complaint I saw was that they're playing the Chiefs, Cowboys, and Chiefs, Cowboys, Seahawks, and Bills. Those are the teams they're playing against that have their bye weeks right before them. So it's not just that they're playing teams that have bye weeks, but they're playing tough teams with bye weeks. This is the second year in a row they have the worst of that differential. It didn't hurt them last year. I have them winning over an 11.5 this year. Justin, over or under 11.5 for the 49ers?
I'm gonna go over because I see like 9 games on this schedule where it's practically deadlocks for me, and then they're a good team. So with the rest of their schedule that is tough, they're gonna at least win 3 of those. So even if they win half of what's left, they're gonna be over. So, and half of those games are at home as well. So I'm gonna go over.
David, do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Niners are the class of the NFC until I'm proven otherwise. And I mean, they just didn't really change much this offseason. I mean, there was all the rumors of them losing some of their weapons. Nothing happened with it, so I kind of feel like they could just run it back.
Well, I think I saw, and I can't remember to give credit on Twitter, but I think I saw somebody say they were old enough to remember when Deebo Samuel wanted a trade in the offseason, and he was still there by the time the season started. So when Brandon Ayuk asked for a trade, they were just like, he's not going anywhere. He's asking for more money. That's what he's asking for. All the way through the offseason, and here we are. They still have all their weapons. So, yeah, I think they're about it. It's true. There's a lot of teams that are sad about it, but yeah, I think the Steelers were attached the most to most of the rumors. So let's see. We've got the next. We have, and this one surprised me, honestly. The Cowboys with 10.5 wins. Their schedule complaint: 7 of their first 10 games are against 2023 playoff teams, and then they have 3 games in 11 days: Texans, Commanders, Giants. So those 3 games aren't that tough. I mean, the Texans obviously, but the Commanders and Giants, they're divisional, so that can always be a problem. But at least they're against the 2 bad teams in your division, right? But I have under for the Cowboys at 10.5. I didn't like what they did this offseason. They didn't really add any threats to the running game. Their wide receiver core past CeeDee Lamb is not all that great. I don't know. I don't think they improved. So I think I've got them at 10 wins, but that's under 10.5. So agree or disagree, David?
I agree. I mean, first off, they have the curse of they won the division last year. They're not going to win it this year. They have a dinosaur at running back. They lost a bunch of their offensive line. It feels like the rest of the division got better and they didn't, which is exactly what I found myself saying last year about the Eagles. I said that they'd still be in the division. They'd still do well, but they weren't going to win it because they didn't get better and the other teams had. I still don't think the Giants and the Commanders are quite at the level of the Eagles and the Cowboys, but I feel like the Eagles improved more this year. So, and I think the Commanders at least have a chance of being competitive this year. So it's not going to be easy wins in the division for them.
Justin?
I'm actually going to go over, and it's because of the last 7 games. I agree with you that front half of their schedule is going to be pretty crucial and brutal for them. But the Cowboys typically play better in the first half of the season. So having a better, more cush second half of the season, I think, is going to be beneficial to them. This is the last 7 games. You've got the Commanders, the Giants, the Bengals, who I'm on record saying that Joe Burrow is not going to be Joe Burrow, at least not for a couple more seasons, if ever. So I'm counting that as a home win for the Cowboys. The Panthers, no offense, but the Buccaneers is an easy win for them this year. And then the Commanders again in the last game. So the only other game in that final 7 would be away against the Eagles. And you guys know I've said the last 2 seasons, and especially last season, Sirianni always finds a way to screw it up because he loses that locker room. And unless he finds a way to be a good coach, I don't think the Eagles will be good by the end of the season again, if he's even still a coach, because I did call that as well last offseason, that by the end of this season he'll be gone. So we'll see how that pans out. But so there, and again, that's another divisional game, kind of 50-50, you never know. And while I think the Commanders also will be more competitive and they have a good shot at splitting with the Cowboys this year, I'm still going to give the edge to the Cowboys there. So that's at least 6 of 7 games that I think they're going to win at the end of the season. So I have them down for 12.
So I'm going to take this question. Eric asked if we've talked about the NFC South yet. We have not, because we're going from total wins or projected total wins, and the NFC South is towards the bottom of that. So we'll get to the NFC South when we get to the back half. But we will get to it for sure. Coming back here, Chuck is saying he's looking forward to a healthy duo of Diggs and Bland this season. And that's, of course, assuming they stay healthy. All right, so for the Cowboys, we've got 2 under and 1 over. Let's see, we're going to go next to the Eagles. The Eagles, are the only real complaint they have on their schedule is an early bye week. I think it's week 5. After the Packers, week 1, they get to play 3 games against the NFC South to help break in the new OC and DC. The Eagles are at 10-5. They get to play the NFC South. I am taking the over on the Eagles. Justin?
What was the over again?
10.5, same as the Cowboys.
Okay, because I do have them at 11, and most of that is front-ended. So I guess I'm going to go over as well. And again, I think the back half of the season, we're going to see them falter. But fortunately for them, they do have a little bit easier back half of the schedule. But I guess I still have them on the over by a half a game.
And David?
I'm going to say under, but with one caveat. If Saquon Barkley can be the Saquon Barkley he was drafted to be, which he never quite got to live up to in New York, except for really like 1 season, then, I mean, the Eagles, as far as I'm concerned, can win that division hands down. But if he struggles, can't stay healthy, etc., it's just a wide open division for me. Still between the Cowboys and the Eagles, I just feel like it's going to be a little bit closer with the Commanders and the Giants winning a few more games and those 2 losing a few more. So I'm gonna say they squeak under.
Squeak under. All right. Then Eric says, I truly think the Cowboys would finish 5 to 7 wins. Commanders will win with 9 or 10. Eagles at 12 or 13, and Giants, who knows, probably 4 to 6 max. So
is that a duck?
Is what a duck?
His profile picture.
Oh, sorry. It is a duck.
Very
Thank
nice.
you, Eric. All right, let's see. The next one we've got is the Lions at 10.5 wins. 5 primetime games, easy schedule early, but a stretch run of Packers, Bills, San Fran. And with the Lions, I'm for sure taking the over. Just seems like seems pretty easy in the North to get 10. I know the Bears are supposed to be better. I don't buy it all that much with a rookie quarterback. Better is probably not going to challenge the Lions. David?
I want to say under. I do. But I doubted the Lions last year. I still said that until the Packers, the way they mold quarterbacks. And I was right there too. Jordan Love is, just like the last few, he steps in and he's right away a great quarterback. but I said the Lions weren't going to win the division last year, and I hate those words. So I'm going to say that they could hit the over this year.
Justin.
So I have the Lions. I have the Lions beating the Bears still both games. I still have them beating the Vikings both games and splitting with the Packers. And I still have them on the under. I have them at 10 wins. So even with winning all those divisional games, I still have them at 10 wins. I think a lot of the rest of their schedule is going to be pretty difficult to overcome because, I don't know. And again, a part of it is me not totally believing in Jared Goff and believing that he is that kind of mediocre guy where he can win certain games, but if it's going to be tougher playoff games, it's going to be difficult. So there's just certain games on the schedule where I see that they're going up against teams that are getting better progressively right now. And I mean, they're getting better. Don't get me wrong. They're still a really good team. And 10 wins is no slouch of an outcome for a tough schedule. So, but
I think I got to go through. I do have to go through this with you because I'm looking at their schedule and seeing wins all over the place. Now the Rams are tough opening night, and that's kind of a fun thing. Stafford versus Goff opening night, but then the Buccaneers.
But that's one of the games right there, right out the gate, opening night. It's going to be a big game. It's going to be a playoff atmosphere that I don't think Goff can step up to.
Let me just run. I'll run through this quick because I know we're going to do this quick. Rams a loss, but
okay.
We're going to count wins. Buccaneers, and I'm a Bucs fan. I'm going to give them a win.
Yeah.
Maybe not, right? But this is possibility. Cardinals, I'm going to give them a win. Seahawks, I'm going to give them a win. That's 3. Cowboys, okay, fine. It's a tough game. We'll throw a tough game out. That's a loss. Vikings, I'm going to give them a win. That's 4. Titans, I'm going to give them a win. That's 5. Packers will split. This will be the loss. Texans, it's a tough game. That's a loss. Jaguars could be a win. That's 6. Colts,
I believe I counted that one as a loss. But yeah.
Colts probably should be a win. That would be 7. Yep. The Bears, you said you're going to do. That's 8. The Packers are a split. That's 9. The Bills are a loss. The Bears, that's 10. The 49ers are a loss. And the Vikings, you said you'd give them both. That's 11. That's 11 wins on the over.
Right, but it was the Jaguars is the one that I have. I gave them a loss against the Jaguars. So that's why I have them at 10. So I think the line is right there.
That's fair. Fair enough. I see a lot of easy enough teams on there that they could get to the 11 and then surprise, they beat the Chiefs week 1. So surprise one of those good teams. And then that gives them a little cushion to lose one of the teams they probably should beat. The Bears, for example, the Vikings. So, all right. So we are moving on to the next North team, the Packers at 9.5. They have a favorable week 10 bye week. They never play more than 2 consecutive road games, which that's only happened once in the history of the schedule. Basically, they never and they close out the season with 2 of the final 3 at Lambeau Field. So a really favorable schedule to the Packers. But here's the thing. I think a lot of last year was smoke and mirrors, and I'm thinking that Jordan Love comes back down to earth a little bit in his second season starting. Everybody wants him to be the next Aaron Rodgers, and I just don't see it yet. So I'm bringing them back down. I have them at 9 wins, but it is 9 wins. David, do you agree?
I disagree. I actually already put in a bet that they were going to win the NFC.
The NFC, like all of the NFC or the NFC North?
Well, that they were going to finish the regular season as the number 1 seed.
Okay, so big disagreement there. Justin's going to have to break that tie. He's doing his calculations. And then he'll have to unmute when he's
all right.
ready.
No, sorry. I had to deal with the dogs for a minute. So I have them at 9 wins. Definitely getting better, but I don't really like that schedule at all for them. Their easier games seem to be on the road. Their tougher games. Wait, no. Other way around. Their easier games are at home. Their tougher games are on the road. So getting better, but I don't think they're going to be able to overcome that division just yet. I think they're probably still another year away.
I have them getting 13 wins.
Okay, so let's go over that.
So I had the Jets getting 13 wins last year too. So we're all wrong sometimes.
This is true. This is true.
Do we want to go over that schedule or do we want to move on?
It's up to you. I'm here.
I want to
Alright.
hear it.
Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull up the schedule. I'm gonna go through the games and I'm gonna let you pick your 13.
Okay.
All right. So they got the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you tell me win or loss, I'll count it out.
So this one was a toss-up for me. I'm even though it's on the road, I feel like it's going to be a win because the Eagles have so much new stuff to need to gel. I think that the first game of the season, it's not going to work out. They have 3 easy games after that. That'll be fine. This one's going to be a tough one. I have the Packers winning it.
Okay. Packers win. Colts. I assume
Win.
you have a win there. 2. Titans.
Win.
3. Vikings.
Win.
4. Rams.
Loss.
Okay. Cardinals.
Win.
Texans.
Win.
Jaguars.
Win.
7. Lions.
Splitting it, this one's a win.
Okay, so that's 8. Bears, that's going to be a
Win.
win. That's 9. 49ers.
That's a loss.
Okay. Dolphins.
That's a win.
10. And then the Lions loss.
Yes.
Seahawks.
Win.
11. Saints.
Win.
12. And then Vikings and Bears, and I assume you
I
got
actually have them losing to the Vikings at home. I have them going in there and, just being too big-headed by the end of the season kind of thing. Looking forward to the end of the season with the easy schedule and stumbling against either the Bears or the Vikings. I chose the Vikings because that's an away game.
All right, so that's how you get to 13 for the Packers. I know Justin disagrees with it. I've got 9 as well. But look, 9 or 10 to me is probably about right. And challenging the Lions there, it'll be interesting to me because I want to see Jordan Love succeed, but like there were times last year, early especially, where they were questioning whether he was going to be the guy, and then all of a sudden he turned it on. And I don't know if he turned it on or if his level of competition was bad or so we'll have to see.
So my whole question with him at the beginning of the season, and I got called out on this recently by one of my people in my card break group he has an NFC and an AFC team, which I think is cheating. But his NFC team is the Packers. And Jordan Love, he was hyped on him. And I said, I wouldn't be that hyped on him last year. And it was because of the weapons, everybody being so young and so fresh. I said they'd be fine moving forward. Last year, I was worried about them. Still not worried enough that I still took the Packers as the guys who were going to win the division. And they came up short there. But I think, like I said, I think they're just going to get stronger, not weaker. So.
All right. Well, we'll have to do a bathroom bet on the Packers. I won't even hold you to 13.
I have the doc pulled up. What's the bet?
I'll do 13.
You'll take 13? Okay, yeah. I'll take the under. I'll take under 13.
I'm taking the under. I'm taking the under as well.
I think I just won my first bathroom bet of the offseason. All right.
I'm gonna need access to this document at some point too, so I can see the ones I made throughout the offseason because I know I've made a couple.
Yeah.
Whether they got documented or not, I don't know.
I was gonna say but Justin holds that, so becomes Justin pretty quickly. All right. As mentioned here in the chat, and you can chat with us anytime you want. We got Eric saying, "Go Falcons, baby." Man, I wish this was a Michael Penix talk, but that's fine. We'll just talk about the over/under wins. 9.5. 9.5 is their over/under total. Falcons have the easiest schedule by record in the league. But in the first 6 weeks, they play 3 playoff teams from last year, including 2-time defending Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. And then they play 3 straight division games. So a little bit of a rough start, but overall an easy schedule for the Falcons. I've got them winning 9 total. So I am taking the under, but it's, this is the line, right? Between 10 and 9. I think the NFC South is going to come down to a 9-win team again. Justin.
Yeah, I think that easy schedule is going to be extremely helpful to get them all the way up to 8 wins this year. So I have the under as well.
And David.
I also have the under. Sorry, Eric.
Like on paper, yeah, they should do it. Like they should be great. But and I'm hearing all the reports from Kyle Pitts. He's saying this is going to be like his super rookie year because he's like now the same age as most rookie tight ends or something like that. But I mean, like unless they actually find a way to utilize them, and I know they have a new coaching staff. Blah 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 blah. Like it's just so many what ifs every single year with this team. So until they actually do it, like I can't. I'm not gonna fall for it again. I'm not gonna fall into it. I lost bathroom boards bets last year on the Falcons. I'm not doing it again.
Look, so Eric saying y'all hating. I'll take this one. I'm a Buccaneers fan. I'm allowed to hate the Falcons. This isn't hate though.
We don't have David and I don't have a dog in the race, so.
Well, I mean, okay, so how are there so many what ifs? New OC, yes, that's a what if. Raheem Morris wasn't a great coach his first stint. Maybe he'll be better his second stint. That's possible. He's also a defensive minded coach. So you've got a new OC with a defensive minded coach, with a quarterback coming off an Achilles. With
an older quarterback,
tight end who's underperformed, right? And a lot of that was injury last year. With a running back who was underutilized, with a wide receiver who was supposed to be great out the gate and was just good out the gate, who drafted a quarterback in the first round instead of any kind of help to get them through this season. And there's a lot of what ifs. And again, I'm not saying that they're going to be a bad team. I'm just saying that they're, 9 wins, potentially going to win the division, right? Like, I think the Buccaneers are going to be right in there with 9 wins and potentially going to win the division. It's going to be a competition probably between both of those teams. Could they do a lot more? Sure. But there's a lot of what ifs there. I like the Falcons and what they've been doing, except for Michael Penix. I like a lot of what they've done. But, that defense, that pass rush has been bad for decades. They did nothing to fix it. Yeah, they drafted a couple guys in the second and third round, and they had to draft 2 because the first one they drafted wasn't good enough. I don't know. It's just like they had a chance to go out and try and fix that in the first round with the best defensive player on the board, and they didn't. And it just leaves me thinking that defense is not going to be up to snuff again. So that's all. Like I think, 9 to 10 wins. Can somebody look up the sack?
Well, real quick, he mentions that Bijan is a top 3 running back. Like, sure, if they utilize him properly and if he can be utilized properly, maybe there was a reason they didn't utilize him what we view to be properly. But he was barely a top 10 running back last year out of 32 potential starters that I would count. So there's one thing. What stat did you want me to look up?
If I said run defense, then I made a mistake because what I meant is they can't get off after a quarterback to save their lives and haven't been able to do it for decades. So, that's what I meant. Yeah, pass rush. So, anyway.
For me, this division, and I know a lot of people are still hating on the Panthers. I think the Panthers, I don't think they're this year's Texans or anything, but they are the same as last year where I said that they would be the team that would in the basement of their division who would double their win total this year, which obviously is not going to be hard for them because then they only won 1 last year or 2
to 4.
Yeah, so that's not going to be difficult. But for me, this division is the one where I could stick it in a Yahtzee cup, shake it up, and pour it out, and it's going to land the way it lands. It's the one division I have a preferred order of what I think it should be. but it's the one where I wouldn't be surprised if any one of the teams ended up on top. So when I go through the schedule, I give the home team the win for all of them right now.
Yeah, and eight wins might still win your division there, Eric.
Yeah, I mean, don't hear what we're not saying. It's not like we're saying that the Falcons are going to be bad, but if all the teams in that division, they have a ton of turnover at coaching positions, obviously, quarterback position to a guy who's older and has an injury. Like, let's not pretend like it's a surefire thing that the Falcons are going to be some great team. Even Vegas is saying 9.5. So, like, when I'm saying 9, that's coming from a place of that's where they are. But hey, I'm willing to make a board bet with one of our listeners and say I'll take 9 and you can take 10. Fine with me.
There you go. It's a free bet, Eric. Are you gonna take the 10?
Of course he's gonna take the 10. All right, the next team on the list is the Bears. So the one weird thing about their schedule is the Bears do not play a divisional game before their Week 11 bye. That means 6 of the Bears' final 8 games are against the NFC North. I don't think that's been a thing. He says, let's bet something good. I don't know what I've got that's good. I guess I could wear a Falcons hat on here, but I don't know what he'd do for us. So he could wear a Bucks hat. We are going to move on to Chicago, and then Eric and I can meet offline and we can discuss this bet. And then when we do the AFC in 2 weeks, we'll go over the rules of the bet. How about that?
There you go.
All right. So I don't think I've seen a team not play a divisional game in like the first 11 games ever. That is an odd thing that the schedule makers did. But I do have them winning the under. And while they have improved that offense and the defense is pretty good, I think the NFC North is good, and they've got a rookie who is supposed to be electric, but he's still a rookie in the NFL. Justin, do you agree with the under, or would you take the over?
I'm going to take the under, but I do have a thought on the reason why they put they really went bottom heavy with the division games for the Bears. Caleb Williams, like, we've lost a lot of great like all-time great NFL quarterbacks, within the last 5 or 10 years. And so the NFL has this new regime of quarterbacks that are coming up, and they need them to succeed. The better those quarterbacks are, the better the game is, the more money. So they need Caleb Williams to be an elite quarterback since all the talk and hype is there. So they want him to have time in that division in his rookie year to build up to be able to be competitive in that division as well, even within his rookie season. So that was kind of why I thought maybe they went bottom heavy on the division games. But I still have the Bears at the under at 8 wins. So I'm right there on the line.
Yeah, I think it's funny how people think the NFL scripted and they throw games like during the games and blah. And the real thing that the NFL can do that can, set up a season is stuff like this, right? Like, so if there is a possibility that's why the schedule is the way it is, it's competitively unfair to the other teams in his division, just so that you can have the new face of a franchise or the face of the NFL or a quarterback that's good. So like the idea that they script the whole season seems silly to me, especially when there's easier and more obvious ways that they can tinker with how things work.
Agree.
David,
yeah, I agree. You can't script somebody to. Well, I mean, I already referred to it earlier. Randomly catch a football on top of his helmet to get their team down the field to win a Super Bowl. Like, you can't script that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I agree with you for sure. I'm not saying this is a conspiracy theory thing. I just think it's like a conscious business decision.
And David, over under.
Listen, I'll give you the little sneak peek for me. I have the over for every team in this division, and one of the main reasons is I think the worst division in the AFC is still the AFC South, and that's who these guys get to play. And this particular team also gets to play the Patriots, who I think might be the worst team of the season. So I have the Bears sneaking over on this.
All right.
I'll also be right back. I got to go deal with a baby.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. And for the record, George is not here, but he's not saying he's going to go take care of George. But you know what? That does give me time to bring Wicked back to talk about our Patreon. So, Wicked, why don't you step in here and not blink?
Are you ready to take over your fantasy leagues and become a champion? Get the edge you need and join the Toilets to Titles Patreon today to get exclusive access to our T2T staff, weekly waiver wire shows, and Patreon exclusive leagues like our signature Frankenstank League. Members enjoy other amazing benefits such as monthly giveaways featuring autographed jerseys, collectibles, Yeti coolers, and more. Sign up now for as little as $9.99 per month and dominate your fantasy leagues like never before. Visit patreon.com/toilets to titles and let us help take your teams to the championship this season.
Thank you, Wicked. I appreciate you talking about that with our Patreon guys. We do try and do a lot for our Patreon members, exclusive giveaways, that kind of thing. So if you have the extra, just hit us up. We appreciate it. And we'll show you how much we appreciate it, off season and regular season. All right. The next team we've got on our list, the Rams at 8.5. So looking through their schedule, no tough road back-to-backs, no international games. Their worst stretch is their first 5. It's considered the 12th hardest in the first 5. And with the Rams, I've got them going over 8.5 wins. Looking at it, I've got 9, but pushing for a wild card. I think last off season, we thought these guys were kind of dead to rights, and Puka Nacua hit, Kyron Williams hit, Matt Stafford's still slinging the ball, so I think they've got a shot at hitting 9 for sure and hitting the wild card. Of course, we've got the 49ers taking that division. Justin, what do you see with the Rams schedule?
I actually have them considerably higher. I have them winning 12 games, still behind the 49ers. But yeah, they're going to be really competitive. They're going to end up with the 5 seed, and they're going to be a 5 seed that the 4 seed doesn't want to mess with.
Yeah, I'm looking over their schedule because I'm trying to give Wicked a few extra seconds to get back. David to get a few extra seconds to talk about the Rams. We can move on from them too. Looking over their schedule, like I said, I do think it's fun that they get to play the Lions week 1. Obviously they get the Cardinals twice.
And I think they win both of those games and the Cardinals twice. So there's 3.
You think the Dolphins would? I guess we're not getting to the AFC, so I'm not going to ask you about what you think about the Dolphins this year.
I will say that I'm giving the Rams a loss on that one.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. And then, interesting, December 22nd, they play the Jets, and that could go either way depending on Aaron Rodgers' Achilles.
Yeah, I marked that as a win, but that one, yeah, I agree. It's a coin flip.
So, yeah, look, I can see for sure, especially if you're giving them a couple wins against the Seahawks and a couple wins against the Cardinals. I can definitely see, you giving them double-digit wins.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks and Cardinals are going to both be kind of bottom of the barrel in the NFL this coming season.
Loser of the bet has to take the SAT in full opposing team gear, top to bottom, football pants, cleats, jersey. Jersey's got to be Atlanta. I don't know about the SAT. I'm
we
in
have
my
to post your score.
Yeah, I'm in my 40s. I don't want to lower the SAT score I got back in the day. Oh, it's 20 years ago.
In case you ever have to go back to college.
Oh, that's not happening for sure. But
I remember helps, they don't even ask for SAT scores anymore.
Oh, they don't? My daughter just took it and got a good score, and she was all excited. And now you're telling me it was all for nothing.
Yeah, you don't really have to post it. I mean, maybe in Florida, I guess, but yeah, you don't really even have to post your score anymore. It's still a requirement to graduate high school for most high schools, though.
Oh, is it? I don't think I had to take the SAT to graduate. I just took it to get into college, and it actually helped me get into college. But I just wasn't interested at the time. Anyway, that's enough about me. We'll move on from the Rams now. After the Rams at 8.5, the Buccaneers are at 7.5. The Bucs are one of 2 teams in the NFL to face the top 4 teams in the league.
Did you see that?
Oh,
David has him hitting the over.
his eyes on Matthew Stafford. Yeah. Sorry, I did miss that one. So thank you, David. Yeah, I have them with the over as well. And it really does come down to Matthew Stafford staying healthy, which he did most last year anyway. So, and then staying healthy.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
that's fine. Right. I'm glad you caught it because I missed it. And let's see. So the Buccaneers are one of 2 teams in the league that play against the top 4 teams with the odds to make the Super Bowl per ESPN. The Chiefs, the Ravens, the 49ers, and the Lions. The first half of the season is brutal, but after their bye week, they only have 1 team with a winning record, and that's the Cowboys. So that's definitely one of the teams, assuming they come out of the first half okay and not demoralized, that's a team that plays a easy back half schedule. I have them at 9 wins as well. I could see it at 8. I could see it at 10. But again, that's the NFC South, where I have the Saints and the Panthers doing pretty poorly. And I have the Buccaneers and the Falcons vying for the NFC South champ. So where are you on the Buccaneers?
I have them at 8, right along with the Falcons. So far we have a tie in that division, and I think it will be those 2 as well. I don't have the other 2 teams winning even 8 games, so I have them at 8. So technically, I have the over by a half a game.
Yeah, so over for both of us, and we will.
Then we got David. On. David's is in the chat here. He's got 7 to 10 wins. 7 to 10 wins for me for the Bucs, and most of that is over, so I'm going the over. Gotcha. All right.
Thank you, David. And that's him checking in from the baby. So that for people that aren't aware, this is Fantasy Genius, who's currently on baby duty and is giving us his info from and is back.
He actually had to go get the advice from the babies, so that
they're geniuses already. They just don't know it.
Well, I mean, after his Packers take, he had to go get corrected. I think that's what it was. Thank you, David.
All right, I thought maybe you were going to go find a shirt.
No, God, it's too hot. You're lucky I came back with this one still on.
Or are we?
Well, we might be, but I guarantee you the Falcons fan, because he's a Falcons fan, would much rather have that off. Come, Eric, I kid, bro. Let's see. Saints. The Saints are next. 7.5 wins is their over-under. First half of the Saints' schedule is more difficult than the latter half, with the Cowboys, Eagles, Chiefs all in the first 5 weeks. But they are tied with the Falcons for the easiest schedule. I do have the Saints going under. I think this is one of the years they finally pay the piper. David, I'll let you go next.
Yeah, I have them going under. I think they're honestly the worst team in this division, which is saying something considering the Panthers are in that. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Carr get benched again at the end of the year and for them to see what Spencer Rattler has for him.
Yeah, I think the thing I was most disappointed with in the draft is that Spencer Rattler went to the Saints, because I like Spencer Rattler, but now I'm contractually obligated to hate Spencer Rattler. What do you think, Justin? Over under 7.5?
I have them under at 7, but I could easily see that being as low as 5 with the schedule and who the Saints are right now at this point in their franchise. So, But I have them at 7. I don't see very much improvement coming to that team.
Moving on, we've got the Vikings next. Actually, I do want to this is one thing I'm going to say. I do want to credit the Vikings fans, because what I did for some of these blurbs is I went to like the fans and looked to see if I could find any schedule complaints from the fans so I could read them off here. Because oftentimes it's the fans that find these little nitpicky things about the schedules. In my search, I couldn't find the Vikings fans complaining about their schedule at all. It was
they've given
mostly
up
just
hope.
well, that's basically what it is. Is they think they were. I don't have a blurb on their schedule. I know, David, you said you're taking the over for all of these teams, so I'm going to let you talk about taking the over when I say I'm taking the under, but I do have them at 7.
Yeah, same thing. I got, they're facing the AFC South. I mean, a lot of this will depend on, for me, obviously the quarterback situation. If Sam Darnold comes in and they allow him to start, if he struggles like he always has in the NFL anyway, J.J. McCarthy might get rushed in, which could be a bad thing. If he does okay but not great, 50-50 kind of thing, then that's obviously good for them. J.J. could sit for a little while and come in when he's ready. And, I mean, the best situation for them is just to sit J.J. and have Sam come in and actually live up to his draft status. This is the best offense he's ever been in. So if he doesn't do it here, I mean, he's going to be on the couch eating chips, next year. So
What's wrong with that?
Absolutely nothing. I do it all the time.
All right,
I'd
so
way
I
rather
think
be making millions in the NFL, though.
probably wouldn't be eating so many chips then.
That's true.
So you like to think that in the NFL you're going to have 17 games for every single team. Every single team is going to find a way to win at least a handful of games, right? Like it's just like a third of your games, like your professional athletes. But every single year we always have those teams that win 4 or less wins. And when they start off really bad, you get halfway through the season and it's almost like they're losing on purpose because they want to better that draft capital or whatever the case is. And then it just starts to slide and it gets worse and worse. And I think if I have to go through the NFL and handpick a few teams that are absolutely going to be in that 4 win or less category, I'm going to say it's the Vikings. So without a quarterback, I mean, the rest of the offense is somewhat explosive. I'm not super excited about their defense at all. So I'm going to say 4 wins. I have them under, and I think there's a reason Vegas has them as one of the lowest on this list as well.
See, I differ highly on that particular opinion on the Vikings. They don't have a whole lot of draft capital to look forward to next year. They traded almost all of it away to try to succeed this year. They have a first rounder next year, and they have 2 5th rounders next year, and that is it.
Right. So
they're here to win now.
Right, but if you look at that schedule, let's see, we've got. So my point is, like, yeah, sure, you might beat the Giants, and I'm not even confident they can do that, being the first game right out the gate. Then they have the 49ers, they have the Texans, they have the Packers, they have who we think is going to be a healthy Aaron Rodgers. They have the Lions. They have the Rams that I am highly touted on right now. If you have a healthy Anthony Richardson, then you have a hard game against the Colts, but I don't see that. I see an improved Jaguars next on the list. So by then they have like 1 or 2 wins and you're over halfway in the season. So that first round pick being their only draft capital, they kind of needed to be a good draft pick. So maybe in the back of their minds, they're thinking, yeah, we're not going to make the playoffs anyway. That's kind of what I was getting at with that. So that's why. But even on top of that, let's just say they are actually trying to win. I only see a few more wins the rest of the season after that even. This is just a really tough schedule, and that's probably why the fans weren't complaining, because they realized they don't really have a choice. Like, they're stuck with a bunch of tougher games on the schedule this year.
I mean, a lot of this is for them is going to specifically focus in on the defense and if the defense improves, because last year the offense wasn't that big of a problem. I mean, they didn't have a running game, but they didn't need one with Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins throwing everything all over the place, obviously till Kirk got injured. But that defense, I mean, it was they didn't stop anybody doing anything. So if their defense is fixed, this is a decent team. Just that's the big question for me, is if the defense is fixed or not.
Well, but you're also, I mean, okay, let's say the defense is fixed, but Kirk Cousins is down in Atlanta. He's taking his talents down to Atlanta. So, J.J. McCarthy's a rookie and probably not ready. Sam Darnold hasn't been good anywhere he's been. Like, I don't know.
I-
A lot of question
I'm a
marks for me.
Michigan fan, so I'm high on JJ McCarthy. But I've also been the guy saying don't sleep on Sam Darnold. Again, this is the best offense he's ever had, and he was a number 3 overall pick coming out of the draft. It wasn't like he was a guy who, nobody wanted or just got picked up later on. He was a top 3 pick, and now he finally has a team. This is his last chance as far as I'm concerned. You prove yourself or you go somewhere else. Go play basketball. They don't try very hard over there.
I honestly think their best chance is to start Darnold right out the gate. Let JJ McCarthy have time to learn that away, because that, like I said, that front half of that schedule is brutal. So I don't see them winning no matter who's at quarterback back there off of their roster. So don't knock the confidence level of your rookie quarterback, and then have another Sam Darnold on your roster like the Jets did with Darnold when he first came out. So maybe Darnold has the opportunity to potentially, prevent that from happening to a new rookie quarterback. And but regardless, that first half of the schedule against that, what I think is still going to be a bad defense, I just can't see it. So it's definitely going to be under for me. I just threw in the little extra saying that they're probably only going to get the 4 wins.
So speaking of 4 wins, no, we're not on the Giants yet. Sorry, Seattle is 7.5, which I have the under. They face the 49ers, Falcons, Bills, and Rams over a 4-game span, but they get to do that at home. They have a lot of late season travel, one of the most traveled teams over the back half of the season. I've got Seattle with the under. I think I've got them at 6 wins. David, over under 7.5.
I got them under, and I have Sam Howell starting by the end of the season.
Oof. Okay. And Justin, see nodding.
What was that over under again? Never mind. It doesn't matter. It's under.
It's 7.5.
That was a joke, but yeah, no, I have them at 5. It's definitely going to be under.
All right. And roll it. Now we can get into the under with the Giants that have 6.5. The gauntlet of the Giants' schedules goes from week 3 to 8. 5 of their 6 opponents in those weeks make the playoffs last year, except for the Seahawks, who won 9 games and are difficult to beat on the road. Is this one of the games we all have Seattle winning, though?
Yes.
This is one of the few. I feel bad for Joey, but I think I've got 4 or 5 wins on here for the Giants, and that really comes down to how good the Commanders actually, how good the Commanders are this season. So, David, what do you think about the Giants' chances this year?
Yeah, I have them hitting the over. I think that that entire division comes closer to the middle than people are going to realize. I still think the Giants are probably the worst team in that division, but we've seen Danny Dimes, come in and salvage a season before, and now he has some talent around him. So we'll see. I mean, it's a weird division for me. I also really just hate that the Cowboys and the Eagles have dominated it for the last several years. So every year I hope the Commanders or the Giants come up and take it from them, specifically the Commanders, but we'll see.
All right. And, I didn't let Justin talk about the Giants.
It's another under for me, and it's another 4-win team. So where I said that sometimes you have to reach to find them, I've found 3 in a row now.
Well, okay, so the Cardinals are at 6.5 points. First 6 games are tough. They face 5 playoff teams from last season. In those 6 games, they take on Buffalo, San Francisco, Green Bay on the road, and they host the Rams and Lions. Despite the start to the season, I actually have the Cardinals winning 7 games. So over the 6.5, I might have them at 8. I have to go back and look, but I have them at over. I think they're improving, and I think having Kyler Murray to start the season as well as a dangerous weapon at wide receiver, I think that's going to put them over the 6.5 and possibly up to 8. They don't challenge in that division. It's a tough one, but improvement from last year for sure. Justin?
I have them at 7 right now on the over, and I do think that Murray's going to be healthy and everything, but I see real potential for this team to possibly even jump up to around a 9-win with this schedule. But for right now, I have them at 7. But I can see myself changing that as we get closer to the season, especially through training camp and some preseason games, and kind of start to get some reports about how they're going to utilize, how they're going to run that offense, how they're going to utilize Kyler Murray. Because if they utilize him more like they did last season, I could see more success. If they're going to start to revert back more to the way he was before he got injured, then I'm going to be a little bit more concerned. I kind of liked the Kyler Murray that was a pocket passer that only ran whenever he had to. He seemed to play smart for the most part last season, in that second half of the season, after thinking that they were crazy for getting rid of Dobbs. But so for now, I'm going to have 7 wins. I'm going to have them on the over, and it might be more over.
David?
Firstly, I'd like to say that you and your son are both right. He is the only viewer on YouTube right now. He can't see how many views we have other places, but he is there. It says we only have 1 on YouTube, so he is the only one there. But we are pretty popular on Twitter right now. Yeah, I'm going the under here, and this for me is one of my 4-win teams. I'm not impressed by Kyler Murray. I've never been impressed by Kyler Murray. And as much as I love Marvin Harrison, I hate Ohio State, but I liked him. I think out of the big 3, he has the worst year this first year between him, Rome, and Malik Neighbors. So, yeah, this is a team I'm not high on at all.
Okay. That might have to be a bet too, because I mean, over 4 is easy. I don't know if you want to make the over 4, but I'm happy to take the over 6.5. So we'll make that a bet as well.
I can do that one.
All right.
All right. Hold on. What was that? What was the bet again?
Just the Cardinals over under 6.5. I'm taking the over, and he's taking the under. And then we're going to be wrapping
as well.
All right. Got 2-1 again. Here we go.
I like being the underdog.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. We've got the Commanders, 24th, hardest schedule. So they've got an easy schedule, which compared to last year was the hardest in the NFL. I am taking over 6.5 wins. I've got them at 7 wins. So I'm straddling that line, but looking over their schedule, I honestly think they'll take one from Dallas. And I think they're going to surprise a couple of teams this year. I've got them at 7, making some improvements. And I'm hoping for the wide receivers there that the quarterback they took is going to be the best quarterback they've ever had, because man, they've had some straight hot, stinky garbage over the last several years. So, David, I think you have the under based off our conversations earlier. So go ahead. I'll let you go first.
No, I have the over. I have the Cowboys and the Eagles coming down, and the Commanders and the Giants coming up. And my hope is that the Commanders actually win this division. That's my hope. I haven't looked enough into it to put my rep on the line and say that they're going to win the division, but I'm striving for that. So also don't disrespect Slinging Sammy Howell. He had an offensive line last year, he was awesome. I just like Slinging Sammy Howell. Like I said, I think he has a shot to take over in Seattle this year. So, but yeah, I have the over here. I think that whole division kind of crunches closer to the middle, kind of like the NFC South. So,
and Justin, I see you nodding.
I'm taking the over. Yeah, I'm agreeing with them. I'm taking the over as well. I have them at 8 wins, and that's with dropping 2 losses to the Cowboys and splitting with the Eagles. I still think they're going to end up with 8 wins on that schedule. So, Definitely more
And
improved from over last season.
And our last team, and it's not that the Panthers fans didn't complain. It's just that I don't care about the Panthers enough to actually go read what their fans have to say. Panthers have 5.5. I've actually got the under. I know Dave's going to disagree with me there. Where I think it could go wrong, and that's fine. Listen, disagreements happen. I definitely could be wrong here. Where I think it could go wrong is they hired a first-year offensive coordinator to be their head coach. They did it because he took Geno Smith and made him look good. They took Baker Mayfield and made him look good, and I get it. That's a great thing to have with your offensive coordinator. Where I think Dave Canales is going to struggle is taking over for the whole team, having to deal with every aspect instead of just the play calling, which at times last year as a Buccaneers fan was just okay. And it was his first year doing it. So him just being okay at it and learning how to do it was okay. But now he's a head coach. He's a first-year head coach, a second year calling plays. He's going to hold on to those duties and try and do everything that a head coach has to do. And I don't know that he's ready for that. I like the guy. I think he's energetic. I thought he was a good offensive coordinator. I wish he would have stayed. I don't think that makes him right for the head coaching position at Carolina necessarily, at least not in his first year. If he's given some room to grow in the position, I think ultimately it's a good thing for the Panthers. They did put some stuff around. They went and got Deontay Johnson. That's great. They went and beefed up their offensive line. That's great. They even drafted a good running back. That's great. But, it's still not a very good defense. I think 2 wins goes to 5 wins, but that's under the 5.5. So, David, you can disagree with everything I've just said now.
I honestly think they're the most improved team in your division. I kind of feel like the Bucs just stood pat. I think the Falcons, everybody's hyped because of Kirk Cousins, but I'm not convinced Kirk Cousins is the end-all, be-all. And the Saints, I think, like I said earlier, I think they're the worst team in the division. Now, I'm not saying the Panthers are going to come out here and do what the Texans did and win the division and, win a playoff game. I am willing to say that they will triple their win total, though, from last year and hit six wins.
And Justin.
I have them on the over at 6 as well, like exactly 6. So I think I'm right in line with David on this one. And I
look,
don't want to waste any more time talking about the Panthers.
It's a 1-game divergence, right? So from 5 to 6, easily could hit it. I'm not saying that they're going to be a 2-win team again. It is interesting, though, the one stat that I saw, the Panthers and the Patriots are the only 2 teams in the league. They're underdogs for every game. At this point, they're underdogs for every game they're scheduled against. So that's what Vegas thinks about the Panthers right now.
I don't think that will be the case.
Entirely about the Patriots.
I don't think that'll be the case necessarily even by week 2, because I think the Panthers being a division game right out the gate in week 1 against the Saints will at least do enough to show that they've improved. And then the Chargers will probably fall flat on their face in week 1. So in week 2, the Chargers are on the road cross country against the Panthers. And I think you might actually see the Panthers be the favorite in that game.
I'll make a board bet on that.
That the Panthers will be the favorites over the Chargers in week 2. All right.
Absolutely. Look, we're just throwing board bets out because I like that one. It's an interesting enough bet and we'll know. You know what I like about that bet is we'll know so early in the season. Most of these we have to wait till the end of the year.
Also,
but that one's
what I like about it is it's extremely ridiculous and stupid to bet on.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, that is our NFC schedule talk. We are going to be doing the AFC, but we do these shows every 2 weeks, so we'll be doing it 2 weeks from now. We'll be going through it just like this, probably with George. Maybe Justin will be nice enough to come back, and we'll have 4. And we'll do this for the AFC in 2 weeks. David, Justin, you got anything else you want to add before we close this out tonight?
Nope. Got to hop off here and go kiss the twins goodnight.
All right, man. Take it easy.
I hope that's the babies.
Well, I wish it wasn't, but it is.
So I'm going to say make sure you guys are checking out our 32 team breakdowns. the off-season breakdowns. George has been doing a great job of setting up the schedules. George and I have worked together to knock out the episodes. I think we've done like 4 or 5 of them so far. So the last one was the Bears off-season breakdown, and it's pushing 200 views right now. So everybody, please go back and check that one out for us. Get that up to 200 views for us. It'd be greatly appreciated. But no, other than that, I think I'm good.
Where can
All
we
right,
find
catch
those?
us-
I didn't see those
They're on the YouTube channel.
on the YouTube.
On Toilets Titles YouTube channel. Yep, and
Yeah,
they have their own playlist.
Yeah, so definitely check us out, Toilet Titles on YouTube. My son's watching on here right now, but if you're on Twitter, you can watch us here. On YouTube, you can check us out. They're probably streaming on Twitter as well, at Toilets to Titles. Obviously, you can hit us up on our Patreon, as Wicked talked about, our Gilded, which Wicked talked about, and obviously check out Rival Fantasy Sports, that the more groomed, better background Justin talked about as well. So
Until
with
tomorrow, I'm getting a haircut tomorrow.
that,
Shaving and everything. I've got job interviews this week.
well, so you guys who did watch us tonight, you did get to see the last of the great unshaven Justin. So feel very lucky. But with that, for David, for Justin, for myself, thank you for watching, and we will catch you here in 2 weeks.